Take a look at these swings. Jim Furyk, Freddie Couples, Alan Doyle, Raymond Floyd. These players have been some of the great players of our time. They've looked a little bit unorthodox in their style, and yet their performance speaks for itself. Hi, I'm Rick Smith, and welcome to Golf Channel Academy. I'm at the beautiful Tiburon Golf Club at the Ritz-Carlton Naples Golf Resort in Naples, Florida. You know, it's really important that all of you understand that what is perfect? Is it perfect looking or is it efficient? What you're going to learn from these golf swings, we're going to analyze and get a little bit closer look at why these golf swings are so yet very different, but yet there's some very consistent qualities that you're going to see at impact. And that's what's really important ultimately, because that's what the ball responds to. There are a lot of ways to play the game. A lot of you are out there always trying to be perfect, but yet is perfect meaning that you have to have the perfect backswing, the perfect top of swing, or the perfect downswing? I think ultimately we want to have an understanding and a better awareness of what we need to do with our golf swings. And I think you're going to learn a lot about these golf swings that you're going to see today. When we come back, we're going to talk about these golf swings a lot closer. So stay with us. Okay, that was my conventional golf swing, and if you could see from the back angle there, when I go back, I take my chest and my arms and I let the toe open up gradually. I then feel like the weight of the club sets my wrist. I turn back behind the ball, I push, turn, and go through the golf ball. Now, I'm going to show you a little Jim Furyk. This is a little different. Let's see if we see any difference with the ball flight. I'll get in closer to the ball like he does. I'm going to have a little different look here. Okay, now the difference is the ball flights were very similar. My Jim Furyk imitation went a little higher, but the impact condition, I'll guarantee you, was basically the same. Now, the reason his golf swing works so well, and I want to kind of dissect it for you, and then help you to understand how maybe this can help you to make golf swings better, he does something that's very unique. One, he'll set up to the golf ball, and he'll get very close to the golf ball, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. He gets in close. Now, normally we would think conventional would be that the face of the club gradually opened up to the plane, which would put the club here. That gradual opening sets the club and puts it on plane here. That's what we would see more with a Steve Elkington, or that conventional look that you see with some really great players. On the other hand, you do see those exceptions, and I want to point out what they are. Jim Furyk, everybody talks about his loop. Well, what I see is that as he gets in close, he'll go back with a very hooded club face, which you can see now is pointing to the ground, which is a little bit different than what you saw with my swing. From here, because the face is so shut, that creates more of a vertical lift of the arms, because a couple things happen from here. Because I've not rotated the club face, the shaft starts to steepen, the left arm gets really vertical, the right arm gets very high because of the fact that the right side hasn't opened up and gone behind me like a typical model-like golf swing. Jim then goes from here in this vertical position and then immediately drops the club back down on plane, and his body starts to rotate and clear. What you'll see at impact, he looks very close to the ball. His right arm and elbow almost look like they're going into his right pocket. And you'll start to see his body angle is really tremendous. You see, you don't see him this way at impact. You'll see him really turned out of the way with a beautiful body angle. Now, from face on, you'll see his arms extending because he's so underneath it. And this extension will help create a little bit more loft. You can see the face of the club looks a little bit more lofted here, and then you'll see him go into a little higher like finish. Well, one thing that he does that's fantastic, and again, golf is repetition of the correct elements to get you into a repetition of the proper impact condition. Now Jim makes the change. He goes to one would say, oh my gosh, he's too upright, and then all of a sudden he gets and flattens the shaft down, and if we do a comparison from this position here to impact, they're going to be very similar to Tiger from the back view. You'll see his body's cleared, the club is actually on plane. Does the golf ball know what he did going back? Of course not. But you know, he changes it, and he gets the club back on the inside beautifully and rotates nicely, and in turn he goes down the line with a shot. Some of you would hook the golf ball if you tried that exercise more than maybe you would want to, because you'd be standing in a conventional, you pretty much hand it or a fist and a thumb away from the ball, and if you did that reroute, you'd hook it too much. Jim counters that by getting in closer, and then he'll go with his reroute and clear and get out of his own way. What can you learn about Jim's golf swing? Look, if you're having problems hitting low shots and you're having problems hitting cuts, this is what you look like. You probably look this way. You're very in back. As you get to the top, your arms and shoulders go over, and then your body from face angle gets very on top of the ball. And here you are in this position. We know Jim was very much behind the golf ball at impact, which was very good, and is related to the fact that he was hitting the ball higher. That low shot is the body's running out in front, and you can see that from a face view, but even more so from the back. We've got to have some exercises that help us understand that maybe Jim's loop, so to speak, is not that much of a loop, because again, he's perfect from here into impact, and that is all that's important in the golf swing. 80% of the world out there that slices the golf ball can take a little bit of Furyk and actually help your golf swing out. And I want to point this out. If you're a player that fans the club open, face angle is opening up really quickly, club's getting way behind you, and then you're fighting the over-the-top move, let's try a little of Furyk. But here's a little modification of that. Let's feel like as we go back, our hands go over our right shoe of the right foot. The face feels more down. It doesn't open up. That's going to allow the club to go more up, which will then help you to seek the room to the inside coming down. From there, you're going to have a chance to hit the ball much more solid and much straighter. Now, the pitfall there is that when you come back to the inside, I don't want your body coming way back to your back foot. We do see Furyk stays on top of the ball, and he'll clear, but you'll see him back into this position here. He won't fall back to his right foot. That's the only pitfall. Now, I want to talk about another variation with Freddie Couples. Freddie is a guy that has a reroute, but he does it a little different way than Furyk. Freddie sets up with his body way to the left. He has a very, very strong grip, which gives him a lot of club head speed. He'll then lift the club fairly much straight up off the ball. A lot of people say, hey, Freddie, you're lifting the club up. You picked the club up. It's just the opposite of all that width that you hear about with getting that big wide arc. Freddie doesn't do that. He lifts. Now watch what happens here. He has what I call a late turn that really starts to shift the club back down to the inside. He then moves to his left side beautifully, and you start to see this impact condition that's fantastic. So how can that help you? As a player, a lot of you have a tendency, especially a slicer, again, you'll whip the club inside with a lot of body turn. Your body's done turning. Well, you only have one choice. The arms lift up, and then you come over the top because the body begins its early rotation. A lot of you need to take a little bit of Freddie and say, let's go back with the arms to here, and then as our arms go up, let's now turn a little bit later in the swing, which should help us to get the club more down on the inside. So it's more of a swing back and then turn and then work back to the inside with the weight moving to the left. Great drills from great players, and little segments of their golf swing can go a long way to help your swing problem. You know, I try to do that Alan Doyle deal, and I can't do it because my body isn't geared that way. My swing is more of a swing back, and I've got a little bit more time. Freddie looks that way. He's very almost slow in his movement and getting there. You may not have the flexibility to do that, but you may have that body type that looks a little bit more like Alan Doyle. Here's my point. A lot of you go out and you have this complex about your golf swing. And what happens is that you kind of feel, because your swing looks weird or whatever, that you can't play, and that you just kind of accept that you don't have a pretty swing. But what we learned today is not what's pretty is as important as what's efficient. And I think what you need to do is get your attitude right, to go to somebody that can really understand the fundamentals in good golf swings. And I'm talking all golf swings. And what you can do is then have a comfort level that maybe you don't have to change 10 things. Maybe you have to change 2, but maybe that upright backswing is okay for you as long as you make the right adjustment. Or maybe that inside and up and over needs to become more inside, up, and down. And you don't have to become this conventional person. Don't feel guilty for being who you are. We have our own bodies, we have our own body types, our own swing characteristics. You need to get with somebody that can help you to understand your golf swing better. I'll tell you one thing, I give Alan Doyle a lot of credit for not listening to any textbook lingo. And what he's done, he's found a way to play extremely well with something that he feels he's very comfortable with. And frankly, when you analyze it closer, it's very interesting to understand. And I want to help you to understand how that could possibly help your golf swing as well. Alan played a lot of hockey, very good athlete, very strong. He gets into a really wide stance. Now, what this helps him to do is to move his weight laterally. The wider you get, you have to move more laterally. Well, that's compatible to his golf swing because of a couple key features. One, Alan aims way to the left of the target, and obviously if he were to be conventional, clearing back and rotating and clearing through, he'd hit every ball dead left. So what he's done, and it's not like Trevino so much, but actually the weight moving to the left is a lot like Trevino. But take a look at this. This is what's very unique. It's kind of a hockey move. His right foot's pigeon-toed in, which helps him to push forward. You'll see him get into a position that's well open. Now, if you look at the takeaway, he almost has a snap and drag look. Normally we see a position that swing the club head, cock the wrist, turn the body. What he does is he creates a lot of leverage because he's very strong in the chest with a short golf swing. And it's almost a snap the whip. He'll go here, and then he'll move to the left, which creates this room from the inside, and then he'll drive through. Now, all that lag and drag, take a look at the impact with his hands in front. Now, from there, he's basically on line in a tremendous impact condition. If you look from the back view, his body, even though he's not square, if he were square, he'd hit every ball dead right. So he's opened up a bit, and he's made that beautiful move to the left. And look at the hands here. He's in that solid impact condition. When we look later in the show at the comparisons of impact conditions, he looks tremendous at impact, and that's what's important. Now, I don't have the ability to create enough speed with that type of action. That's more of the snap the whip. But here's something that will help you to understand his action, and I think it'll help you if you're a caster. And I want to show you two things. Couple things. If you're fairly narrow with your feet, you've got to turn more in the barrel. And what you'll notice also, if I'm this way, maybe I need to get a little wider so I can have a little better move to the left side. That's something we see with great players, is that move to the left. Getting a little wider may help you to do that. Now, if you're a caster, and that's this, when you're going fishing at the top, and you're uncocking the wrist prematurely, and you're getting into that really bad impact condition, take a look at that. That's the opposite that we see with Doyle. It's a little drill that's kind of interesting because it's an opposite. You're used to cocking and uncocking quickly. Try a little bit of a drill where you tee a ball up and you do a little bit of a laggy drill with no wrist set, and then you try to set it on the way down. Now, normally we see that with strong players. Big legs, big chest, a lot of strength to do that. And I don't recommend that for most people unless you've got the physical ability to do it. Having said that, though, it's a good drill to feel the opposite. So you do a little bit more of this. I almost keep the club on the ground, and then I'll take the club back like this with the handle getting to my right foot before the club head does, and then I'll go back, and then I'll come down, and I'll really